Former Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava, whose name, image, and likeness contract holdout during spring ball completely backfired, reportedly threatened to hold out on Tennessee right before the Vols playoff game against Ohio State. Wow. Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. And I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button down below so you never miss a single episode. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKDOWNCollege for $20 off your first purchase. So Nico almost held out of the Vols playoff game against the Ohio State Buckeyes. We'll talk about what that means. Plus, we got some football and basketball portal news, and the Vice President of the United States dropped the Buckeyes National Championship trophy. Wow. Plus, we got Tuesday tweets, all that coming up. But first, multiple reports now state that former Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava, along with several of his volunteer teammates, threatened to sit out Tennessee's playoff game against the Ohio State Buckeyes in search of more name, image, and likeness money. This is mind-blowing to me because we used some examples that were hypothetical in yesterday's podcast, and here they were happening all along. We'll recircle and get back to all that and kind of fill in the dots. This is worse than we all expected, all right? And we already expected that this whole situation was bad for college football. Quick recap, all right? It was reported that Nico missed team meetings and a practice on Friday in what turned out to be our first high-profile name, image, and likeness pro-style contract holdout in Power 4 college football. Tennessee coach Josh Heupel, I think to his credit, said enough is enough. Come on, we're not doing this. We're not doing this now. It's not that you can't be paid, but we're not doing this now. You already got a deal. You're already getting $2 million. You're not going to hold us for $4 million. And he said enough is enough. And by Saturday morning, it was announced that Tennessee and the starting quarterback, once a Heisman hopeful, mind you, he was gone. They parted ways. And to Tennessee's credit, they took the high road. They made it seem like it was a mutual decision by both sides. But in reality, they cut the kid loose. Cut him loose. Starting quarterbacks are hard to find. And, you know, a lot of the coaching world out there really commended Heupel in social media. Now, Tennessee, they don't have much. They got a redshirt freshman and a true freshman now. So they've kind of put themselves in a bind by sticking to their principles. So that's why Heupel got a lot of praise for this move. On yesterday's Locked On Big Ten podcast, we wondered out loud if this was a sudden holdout situation in the spring or if this had been brewing for some time. Apparently, the answer to that question is for some time. Multiple reports so that Nico and several of his teammates felt entitled to more pay, and they threatened to skip the Vols playoff game against Ohio State. After all, according to them, the playoffs were additional games outside the regular 12-game schedule, so they required additional pay. Buckeyes, as you know, won that game 42-17, got up to a 21-0 lead. It was clear during the game that Tennessee was not as focused as it needed to be. Now we know why. Now we know what was going on behind the scenes this whole time. It wasn't just cold and a road game and all that. I mean, that was part of it. They were having some big problems behind the scenes, just talking their guys into getting on the field who were demanding more money. In fact, we shared an amusing story last week from former Buckeyes quarterback Will Howard. He was doing an interview. He was talking about that Vols game, and he noticed something before the game. He said, look, man, they all came out shirtless to warm up. It was below freezing that night. And then he said they turned around immediately, went back in and put some more clothes on. And he knew before kickoff that the Buckeyes were going to win that game. Turns out there was more going on behind the scenes and that added to the Vols' lack of focus that night. Instead of focusing on the playoffs and instead of focusing on winning a title, Tennessee players were leveraging their participation in the playoffs for more money. They claimed their previous NIL deals were just for a 12-game season. They wanted to pay extra money to play an extra game or two if they were going to make a run for a national championship. So yesterday we stated that we think coaches should shun Nico now that he's a free agent out there. And college football needs to make a statement to the rest of college football that these kind of negotiations, they're not going to be tolerated. And nobody's saying the kids can't get paid, but there's a time and a place for it. And holding your team hostage either before, spring football or sitting out practices or maybe even a game or a playoff game, that's not the right time for any of this stuff. So I think this kid, whether it was his dad driving him or what, got some bad advice. Former Tennessee Vols coaching legend and former AD Phil Fulmer, he said he was really proud of the way that Josh Heupel took on this situation on behalf of the university. A lot of people are backing him up. But also LSU coach Brian Kelly said, look, this is just the beginning. This is the way the system is. This is going to happen more, not less. Just yesterday, we were using this Nico example hypothetically, and just to throw examples out and have a conversation, said, look, in the near future, pretend maybe this summer, key players holding out before big games. We imagine what if a key Ohio State player, Julian Sayin or anybody, right before the season opener against Texas says, you know what? My team needs me, and this is a big game, and coaches make millions of dollars to win these games. I'm gonna sit out. I need to double my name, image, and likeness money. It sounded crazy just yesterday. We said, what if a Michigan player sat out before their week 2 game against Oklahoma? You know what? I'm not playing another down until you pay me more. Crazy, right? Utter chaos. Turns out this stuff was already going on at Tennessee before their playoff game against Ohio State. If a player like Nico pulls a move like this, I got another question. Can you trust them in a big spot? Coaches and teammates, they put their heart and soul in an entire season. Blood, sweat, and tears. Are you going to want to trust a guy with the ball on 4th and 1 with the game on the line or before a playoff game who's leaving a team before spring ball or before a playoff game or threatening to leave a team because of contract renegotiation? 4th and 1, I got to have it. I don't want a guy thinking about his bank account. I'm the guy thinking about the team. I don't know if a player like that can be trusted anymore. I really don't think so. Not going to put his body on the line. I have some serious questions as to where he ends up. And maybe he'll end up, again, there are still rumors that UCLA is charging hard for this guy. He may be right here in the Big Ten. The talent always finds a home. And there are always desperate coaches looking for job security and looking to protect their contracts worth tens of millions of dollars. And they always need a talented quarterback. Again, UCLA, Deshaun Foster kind of used up his honeymoon year last year. I mean, they did squeak out 5 wins, but they were not a good football team. And he needs kind of a Hail Mary boost to establish himself in the Big Ten and establish himself just with UCLA. Nico's from California. Might make sense if they get the money going out there. What about Mike Loxley at Maryland? He's had a couple of down years now since Talia Tagovailoa left. So, yeah, last year was a down year. They need an upgraded quarterback. Maybe there'll be a bidding war from coast to coast. How about Iowa? They don't ever seem to get the quarterback position right. Although I don't see them spending $4 million a year on a quarterback either. And Kirk Ferentz doesn't seem like a guy that's going to play ball, negotiate like this for a player like that. Kirk Ferentz seems like he needs a quarterback that he can trust. That's not going to put his wallet ahead of the play call sheet. So keep in mind, the transfer portal is opening right now as we speak for the spring portal period. And it's going to close on April 25th. And a player like Nico only needs to be in the portal. He's in the portal. He didn't have to sign with a new team by the 25th. So he can wait all summer if he wants, which means he can play people against each other. He can collect bids. He can see who's going to give him the most money, all that stuff. He can negotiate all summer long instead of being at practice. Do whatever he wants. He didn't have to jump into anything real soon. So whoever lands his services, I don't know. That might say more about the coach and the program and their desperate situation than it does about the player at that point. We'll see. I'm going to be as interested as anybody to see where this kid ends up. Hey, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. It's free. You'll never miss an episode. And don't forget, for you early morning commuters, we have our audio only version of this very podcast on Apple and Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. If you want that even 2 hours earlier, like at 4 a.m., it's out there first thing. So if you're out there commuting, you need something to listen to, we're here on audio as well, but it's released earlier in the morning. Don't forget, we also have a website, talkbig10.com, number 10. All of our podcasts go there, and links for you to buy your favorite team merchandise right there. We talk about Ohio State, get Ohio State National Championship shirt, hat, T-shirts, all that stuff right there. So speaking of the Buckeyes, they went to the White House, celebrate the national championship, right? Well, J.D. Vance, the vice president of the United States, he was there. He's a Buckeye. He's a Buckeye grad. He's very proud. Picked up the trophy. It didn't go well. He dropped it. And remember when Matt Rule and the Huskers canceled their spring game? So, yeah, how are things going in Lincoln, by the way? Got some football and basketball portal news from the Big Ten as well, and our Tuesday tweets. You don't want to miss that. It's all coming up here in 1 minute on Locked On Big Ten. There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. The level of play is higher. The crowd is intense. Every bucket, every defensive stop, everything just feels bigger than normal. It's great to be there in person, and you can be there in person too with Game Time. You can be a part of it, and you can be there without the stress of last-minute ticket purchasing. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when the demand is sky high, no problem. Prices, they go down as you get closer to tip-off, and their last-minute deals could save you up to 60%. So you got those save up to 60% on these last-minute deals for not only sports, concerts, comedy, theater. If it needs a ticket, Game Time is your place to go. All-in pricing, no surprises at checkout. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I want to thank you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, hit that subscribe button down below, share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And also check out our website, talkbig10.com. Podcasts and merchandise right there at your fingertips. Okay, the Ohio State Buckeyes. They finished up their spring practice. They had their spring game, and then they headed off to the White House to celebrate their national championship, as is a tradition for championship teams. And while they were sitting there with the president and the vice president, and the White House band was playing We Are the Champions, Vice President J.D. Vance, who is an Ohio State grad and fan, went to hoist the trophy, but he didn't know that the actual base of the trophy and the actual trophy, they were not attached. So he dropped them both. The base went to the ground. He barely hung on, like he was hanging on to a baby that was losing control of the main trophy on his shoulder. It was a fumble. It was a fumble. Running back Travion Henderson had a better set of hands and was helping him out throughout all that. So, but yeah, again, congratulations to the Buckeyes, national championship visit to the White House. A lot of attention has been spent on Ohio State, their spring game on Saturday. Michigan's is coming up this Saturday. How are things going at Nebraska, by the way? So, look, these spring games, Ohio State's was off, then it was on again. Michigan, they're going to have it, but nobody can air it live, right? Everybody's secretive now. All these different variations. Some teams having it, some not. Matt Rule got all this started. He was the first to cancel the spring game. He said, look, there's poaching, there's transfer portal, there's injuries. We're not going to have it. So how is spring football going in Lincoln with the Huskers? They did just have a scrimmage, did a little 11-on-11. And Matt Rule said he was very pleased. He's pleased about the health. No serious injuries to report. He said he got in some good work. So the defense started a little slow. There was a play, tight end Heinrich Haarberg made a catch down the sideline and blew by all the defenders, and a bit of a wake-up call. So from that point on, the defense got better. Yes, Heinrich Haarberg, the former quarterback. That's right. He moved to tight end when Dylan Raiola firmly grabbed that QB1 spot. Huskers moved him there to tight end to get him on the field. He's a good athlete. So their final practice will be April 26th. It's still going on. So far, so good for Matt Rule and the Huskers. Got some great news for Penn State and the Nittany Lions. James Franklin. At some point, they got to look ahead to life beyond Drew Aller after he leaves this year. They've had the luxury of having the same quarterback every single year. It's kind of what they do at Ohio State. They find one and they keep them for multiple years. It's pretty steady. Four-star quarterback Peyton Falzone has verbally committed. He's an in-state guy from Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Big guy, 6'5", 208 pounds. He was looking at Iowa, Utah, Rutgers, West Virginia. But he's going to Penn State, and he's the 10th player for Penn State's class of 26. So, and he's their second quarterback for that class. California's Trey Hune also already committing. Falzone was actually once committed to Virginia Tech, but he kept making visits to Happy Valley. Something, they were talking. He was a local kid. 4 visits. Finally, he also visited Syracuse, Ohio State. He had a visit. He had a visit at Iowa. This past season in high school, he threw for over 2,000 yards. In fact, he's thrown for over 2,000 yards each of the last 2 years in high school. 42 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. He decided, I want to come to Penn State, as they offered him a scholarship. More quarterback news at Iowa. Quarterback Brendan Sullivan. Remember, he came over from Northwestern. It seems like he just got there. It was about a year ago. He transferred from Northwestern and came in at Iowa. I thought he had a chance there with Cade McNamara's health history and all that. In fact, he took over and started a handful of games when Cade McNamara got hurt, but then suffered his own ankle injury and then returned to the Hawkeyes 27-24 loss to Missouri in the Music City Bowl. So, I mean, he played a bit, but, and he put out a statement. He said, I loved every moment of my time at Iowa, but I'm going to use my final year of eligibility elsewhere. And he's now in the transfer portal. Now, Iowa has some options at quarterback at this point. In January, they added transfer quarterback Mark Gronowski from FCS champion South Dakota State. We'll see how he does at Iowa. He won 49 games there, but he's also coming off a shoulder surgery and a non-participant in the spring. He is ahead of schedule, and they say he will be 100% by June 1st. We'll see. That would make me a little nervous. They also added Auburn transfer quarterback Hank Brown, who made 2 starts for Auburn in 2024. From the transfer portal in football to basketball, Michigan State transfer Trey Holloman is headed to the ACC and North Carolina State. He entered the transfer portal just 2 days after the Elite Eight loss by Michigan State to Auburn. And, of course, his biggest moment of the year had to be that heave from beyond half court to beat Maryland. That was exciting. And so now he's going to be at North Carolina State. And the Minnesota Gophers, they picked up Northern Colorado guard Langston Reynolds. He is the 5th new player now as they're rebuilding that roster because they have a new head coach and Nico Medved. And he's actually doing a pretty good job. I read recently, according to one recruiting service, the Gophers portal class of this year is 8th best in the country. Minnesota, right? Good luck to them with that. But back to this Reynolds kid. He's 6'4", averaged 16 points a game, 59% of the field, 41% from 3, although he doesn't shoot a lot. 5 rebounds and 3 assists as well. And the Gophers recently added Davidson transfer, wingman Bobby Durkin. So, I mean, these kind of players are the kinds they're added up. And again, somebody thinks they're the 8th best in the country over there at Minnesota. All right, coming up, we got our Tuesday tweets. You know, we always have a feature that we all love at the end. We got Monday, our Big Ten Top 10 Observations. Tuesdays are Tuesday tweets. Wednesdays, we power rank something. Thursdays, we take a look at the Big Ten Network and we highlight the Big Ten Classics and live action. And Fridays, we make picks. All right, so we got Tuesday tweets. Probably going to be a picture or two or a tweet or two of some championship rings on display for the Ohio State Buckeyes. We got all that more coming up in just 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. You ever check your bank account and go, man, where did all that money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, man, it's easy to lose track. There's a lot of expenses in life, but that's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. And you can track all of your accounts, your investments, your apps, everything, spending all in one place. You stop managing your money and you start building wealth. And first of all, it shows where you realize where you're spending all your money. And you can budget smarter. And instead of juggling multiple apps and pay this app on this day and this on that day, it all brings it all together. And you can bring your spouse or your significant other's finances together all in one place, all without stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Again, at monarchmoney.com. All right, let's have some fun here and take a look at our Tuesday tweets. If you're audio only, no problem. We'll describe them in detail and we'll put them on screen so you can check them out. We always have fun with this. So here we go. We are going to start it off with at NFL, actually, paying attention to the Ohio State Buckeyes. It's a picture of Emeka Egbuka. It says he is primed to be the next at Ohio State wideout, making waves at the next level. Obviously, they've made a splash. Wide receivers, people like to draft wide receivers from Ohio State. And I think Emeka will be probably a second-round pick in next week's draft. But I think he's going to stick. I think he's going to do great. I think he's going to be a deal for whoever picks him up, if it is indeed in the second round. It's going to be a great NFL wide receiver. Let's see what else we got here. This is from at Nittany Lion Recruiting. We mentioned a moment ago, Peyton Falzone, their quarterback, their 6'4", 6'5" quarterback from Nazareth, Pennsylvania. It's going to stay in Pennsylvania. It says he's committed, best in Pennsylvania, stay in Pennsylvania. So there, apparently he's going to be number 11. That's a nice looking picture. I do like that. Here is from at the Big Ten Network. It is a split screen, top bottom, with Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith from the spring game festivities at Ohio State. He says, these two are as good as it gets. That's right. Name a better pair of stars on each side of the ball, Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith. Again, there are a lot of people that insist if they were eligible age-wise to come out into the NFL draft this year, they'd both be top 3 picks. Think about that. I mean, what? Maybe Cam Ward 1 and then Caleb Downs or Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs 2, 3. Yeah, there are people that believe that. They're that good. So an anchor on each side of the ball for the Ohio State Buckeyes with some star power. Speaking of star power, here, this one's from at Matt Finks. I could have grabbed any number of your tweets and put these on here. It's a display of the Ohio State Buckeye rings, the rings that they get the various bowl games, including the national championship game, and very shiny, very nice, very large. And then you see on the picture on the left, the championship one opens up, and it's Ohio Stadium on the inside. I think that's pretty cool. Yep, they all got them. Saw a video the other day, a process on how they make those things. It is absolutely amazing. Here's more from at Ohio State football. Players leaving all suited and booted and looking nice and sharp, getting ready to travel and get on an airplane and go to Washington, D.C. for Monday's visit at the White House. Another look at the ring as well. It says next stop, D.C. That's right. You got your national championship. You got your rings. You had your spring game. Spring ball is over. Let's go visit the White House now. And then the offseason begins and the countdown to Texas for the August 30th season opener for the Ohio State Buckeyes. This one is from at CW Ritz. It is a guy wearing an IU Indiana hat and a red t-shirt that says the movie is not called Boilers. He's referring to the Gene Hackman movie Hoosiers. That's right. It's called Hoosiers. It says go Hoosiers, hashtag IU basketball. They're rebuilding their roster too with a new coach. Anxious to see how that shapes up at this point. Here is, I saw this. This is a video from @Badger Football. And yeah, if you recognize that picture, that is John Gruden in a Wisconsin jacket and a hat talking to the Wisconsin football team. No rumors, please. Luke Fickell invited him. Luke Fickell was in the room. Says, everybody has dreams. I'm into nightmares. And he was giving one of his screaming pep talks to this team, and they were fired up. At Barstool Gruden is in the building today. I recognize the speech. It was the same one that he gave when he was the head coach of the Raiders on Hard Knocks. Remember? Knock if you're with me, men. That speech, pretty much, without the knock if you're with me. Gave the same speech. Everybody has dreams. I'm into nightmares. Ending their dreams. He was very intense. Loud, spitting, screaming. They loved it. Absolutely love. Only about a 3-minute speech. I don't know if he did anything else with him that day, but that's what I saw on Twitter and wanted to share that here today. All right, so this is a picture of the Lincoln Monument in Washington, D.C. I mentioned the Buckeyes are, at the White House on Monday. This is from @Kevin Noon. He says, a monument to Lincoln Kienholz, the quarterback of the Buckeyes. He got his own monument. It's from Abe Lincoln, but we'll go with it today. Lincoln Kienholz and the Ohio State. Here's from @Nittany Lion Recruiting. A beautiful picture of James Franklin, his wife and daughters. Says, say whatever you want. I will run through a brick wall for this guy. His players love him. His colleagues love him. The fans love him. He does it the right way and will soon pay off. Cheers to you @Coach Franklin. Penn State is grateful to have you. How about that? Because, he gets a lot of criticism these days. That's a nice, I thought that was a nice picture. The family and some nice words about him. So I thought I'd put it out there. This is cool. This is from Brian Fonseca. It is a picture of Rutgers offensive lineman Brian Felter at his wedding and his bride, Christina. And, of course, all of his offensive linemen were there, and they all got into shotgun formation, and the bride put a Rutgers jersey over her white dress and is in shotgun getting ready to receive the ball. It says that Rutgers O-line staying ready. And congratulations to Rutgers offensive lineman Brian Felter and his wife, Christina, who got married this weekend. The happy couple took this tremendous photo and his fellow Scarlet Knight lineman during the celebration. I thought that was cool. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking for on X or Twitter to put on Tuesday tweets. That was phenomenal. Here's one from @Maize and Blue Review. It is a picture montage of Bryce Underwood. The future is here. And he looks good in uniform. And the spring game will be this weekend for Michigan. And, of course, Swanky Wolverine getting his fun. You got Will Howard with his rings, again, bowl rings and championship rings, smiling in front of the camera. And below him, an old picture of J.J. McCarthy with all his rings and all of his playoff rings, and all of his Big Ten championship rings and his national championship ring. So trying to show that he's got more than the Ohio State quarterback has. And here is from @College Football Kings. It says, I asked ChatGPT to predict the next 50 college football national champions and put all the logos, all 50 of them, and the year. Again, ChatGPT AI predicted the next 50 college football national champions. And I'm looking for, by the way, 2025, it has Clemson this year. Texas next year. Let's see here. I don't see a Big Ten team until 2031 with Oregon, Ohio State, 2033, Penn State, 2037. James Franklin gets, will James Franklin be there in 2037? That's still 12 years from now. He'll have been there 24. He'll be like Kirk Ferentz, there for a quarter of a century. What else we got here? Nebraska, 2044, getting a natty. Michigan, 2045. This is according to AI. Washington, 2047. Buckeyes 2049. It's looking like Big Ten every other year in the 40s. the 2040s. Can you believe we're talking about that? Let's see here. A little of a drought until 2058, where USC wins, and then 2059, Michigan. So back-to-back Big Ten. And 2065, the Ohio State Buckeyes. And then Oregon 2071. Oh, and look at that. Now I know Kirk Ferentz will be gone by then, but in 2073, the Iowa Hawkeyes win the national championship, according to ChatGPT, artificial intelligence. I don't see my alma mater, Indiana, in here. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I thought that would be fun to put out there as well. So let me know what you think. Tuesday tweets. Get me a tweet out here, and I'll put it on this podcast every Tuesday. Many ways for you to interact with me at Twitter, at Talk Big Ten, our website, talkbig10.com, number 10, by the way. All of our podcasts and merchandise go there. Be sure to subscribe for free so you never miss an episode. And don't forget, you early morning commuters, audio-only podcasts are available. If you'd like them, they're out there as early as 4 in the morning on Apple and Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Again, 2 hours earlier than this video one, which still comes out pretty early each and every day. And while you're at it, go back and check out yesterday's podcast. We did more on Nico and how it affects the Big Ten and what he did at Tennessee and just holding out, our first official holdout in college football. Check that out. Tomorrow, we're going to look into whether there are stories out there that Dan Lanning at Oregon was the one that gave Josh Heupel in Tennessee the heads up that their quarterback was looking around. Thought that was strange. I'm going to look into that, talk about that tomorrow as well. Hey, for a second, listen, check out our friends at Locked On NFL Draft with Damian Parsons and Keith Sanchez. Draft's coming up in a little more than a week. You can find Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. That'll do it for us. Tell your friends about us. We're out here each and every day. All things Big Ten, all 18 teams, all sports, all the news, plus analysis, plus opinion. All right here. Only podcast like it in the world. Check it out. Thank you for checking us out already. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll talk to you tomorrow.